going to do the second part of text 8. Who learned text 8 as well? No? No. No one? Okay, good. We have another day on it. Let's chant it responsively. Yata dushtatvam me darayati shattasyapi kripaya. Everybody got it? Yata mayam premamritam api dadatujjvalam maso. Yata Śrī Gandharva bhajana vidaye prerayati mam. Tata goshte kakva giridharam iha tvam bhajamana. So he will mercifully break the wickedness of rascal me. So he will give me the splendid nectar of transcendental love. And so he will engage me in Śrī Rādha's service, please, O mind, with words choked with emotion, worship Lord Giridhārī here in Braj. Narottam Das Thakur says, Kṛṣṇa nama bine bhai, Rādhika charane pai, Rādha nama gaha Kṛṣṇa Chandra. Kṛṣṇa nama bine bhai. Bhai means brother in Bengali. It says, oh brother, just chant the name of Lord Krishna. Kṛṣṇa nama bine bhai, Rādhika charane pai. And that way, by chanting the name of Lord Krishna, you will get the name of Srimati. You will attain the lotus feet of Srimati Radharani. Kṛṣṇa nama bine bhai, Rādhika charane pai, Radha nama. And by chanting the name of Radha, kaha Kṛṣṇa Chandra, then you will attain Lord Krishna. So here, Raghunath Das Gosvāmī advises that we should worship Lord Giridhārī. And then he says, by worshipping Lord Giridhārī, he will engage me in Śrī Rādha's service. Raghunath Das Gosvāmī is defining our goal. Now there's amongst philosophical controversies, which are good. It's good to Siddhanta Bolya Chittena Karalas. It's good to meditate on philosophical principles. It's good to even discuss them, and sometimes devotees may have opposing views. What is the origin of the living entity? Have we come from Goloka Vṛndāvana? Or have we come from Tatastha Shakti, the marginal potency of Krishna that is between the material energy and the transcendental energy? Tata. Tatastha. It can be like this, it can be like that. We spoke a little about that. What does back to Godhead mean? Just recently I was doing a blog on, a vlog on this. What does going back to Godhead mean? People say, well, who's taking us back to Godhead? What does it mean to go back to Godhead? What does it mean to be taken back to Godhead? What are we expecting? Of course, Srila Prabhupada gave a very graphic example of that. I can't remember who it was, but for the opening of the TOVP, then devotees were talking about who will invite all dignitaries and so on. And someone said to Prabhupada, will bring the Queen of England. Prabhupada said, you bring the Queen of England? He says, Bhaktivinoda Thakur will come down from the spiritual world. He will take you by the hand and he will take you back up. And sometimes we have that idea that this is what it means to go back to Godhead, that Krishna comes, takes you by the hand, and you go back. If you can get, well now it's not the Queen, the King, if you get the King of England to come here, then that may be the case. But that's a very exceptional process. What is the way that we go back to Godhead? Well, here, this is all Manaḥ-śikṣā, instructions to the mind how to go back to Godhead. We become free from all our wickedness. And we give we get the nectar of love of God. In other words, as we were speaking yesterday, that advancing in spiritual life, one has to be very diligent in performing one's activities, devotional activities of sādhana. So it means quality. Well, quantity, we're not doing so much quantity. In other words, we're not doing sadhana 24 hours a day, but we do have a Mangalartik, we have a deity greeting, we have a japa period, we have a Srimad Bhagavatam class, ideally in the evening like this. And we used to always have evening program. It went just like this. It was called the ISKCON, Prabhupada called it the ISKCON sandwich. So the bread of the morning program, the bread of the evening program, and in between the different goodies of service. So the service is sandwiched in between this bread. It's not healthy to, well, it's not that it's not healthy, but one doesn't just eat bread, and one doesn't just eat the insides. And half a sandwich, well, that's not the same. It was the British who invented a sandwich. In fact, it was a Lord Sandwich. That was his name. Lord Sandwich. And he was going, when he was going out to battle, he would have like this bread with whatever else he had inside. So that's how the name sandwich came around, after him. And then one continues. Even then, although the nature of devotional practice at the stage of transcendence, in other words, once one has received this splendid nectar, ujjvala. Now, ujjvala here is translated as splendid, but it's used to describe actually the mellow of conjugal ras. And that's how the next step comes, is that one gets this splendid nectar, then to be engaged in Radha's service, and one becomes qualified to engage in the service of the divine couple in the material creation, and one goes back to Godhead. It's a series of training, instruction. By following that instruction and the different steps, Krishna says, shaner shaner uparamid, step by step. It's a step-by-step process. It's just like you're going up the stairs. So what's at the top of the stairs? Who knows, maybe your home is at the top of the stairs. You have a penthouse on top of the stairs. Here we're also at the top of the stairs. But you have to go every step. And no matter how high you've gone, you still got to make the next step until you're there, quote unquote there. This is a word. It used to mean in hippie terminology, it meant that he's really there. In other words, that what there was, we didn't know, but he really looked like he was there. In other words, if a person was spaced out enough, then you may say that he was there. I'm sure they have equivalents nowadays, although nowadays people aren't so much searching for spiritual things. So here, in terms of this controversy, not of what our origins are, but actually what our destination is meant to be. What is the destination of people who are instructing their minds, people who are following Raghunath Das Goswami, Rupa Goswami, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Well, here, Ujjvalam Maso. Now, Ujjvala means, does it really mean, just like in the beginning of Chaitanya Charitamrita, unatojjvala-rasa svabhakti Śrī. So there it's described that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has come to give what no one else has ever given before. This unatojjvala, this extraordinary, splendid, effulgent, this unique love of Godhead. Unatojjvala-rasa. Why is it, what's the word in Chaitanya Charitamrita? Very, not sparkling, but effulgent, or someone could look up what that verse is, the translation of the word. Unatojjvala-rasa svabhakti Śrī Kṛṣṇa pranimukti Radhi shakti rasmad ekatmana bhapi bhuvi puradeha vikram gatotu. So, unatojjvala-rasa, and yes, it's clear that then we're meant to engage in Radha service. So Raghunath Das Goswami seems to make it just a matter of fact that this is where the followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu go. We're talking in very general terms. There's always exceptions. But the controversy here is that, have we got it? Ujjvala.
Radiant.
Radiant. Why is it radiant? Why is it radiant? It's radiant because it is madhurya rasa, or sometimes madhura rasa, because it is very sweet. Madhura means sweet. So it is the sweetest. All rasas have sweetness. Servitude, friendship, everyone has. What is sweetness? It's the taste of something that is very wonderful, extraordinary. Usually would refer to actually in terms of beauty. The effect that Krishna's extraordinary beauty, the taste of the effect of Krishna's extraordinary beauty has on a devotee, that is called sweetness. And because we're talking about absolute terms, therefore we also say that Krishna is sweet. So you taste sugar, you taste burfi, sandesh. So the sandesh is sweet, but what you taste is also sweet. So both of them are sweet. Obviously, sandesh is no good on its own if there's no one to taste it, but it's still sweet. So Krishna's sweet, Madhuram Mangale Byopi. So Krishna's name is sweet. So many things about Krishna's smile is sweet. Krishna's flute playing is sweet. Krishna's flute is sweet. There's this Madhurashtakam, which is a very wonderful, it's just by, what's his name? Huh? Vallabhacharya, yes. Vallabhacharya. Madhurashtakam. Just goes through all the things. Krishna's glance is sweet. Krishna's eyes are sweet. He's the king of sweetness. He's the Lord of sweetness. So that's why it's splendid, ujjvala, or over there it was radiant. Radiance, radiant, but although every rasa has its own type of sweetness, actually the topmost sweetness is Madhurya-rasa. And Kaviraj Gosvāmī says like that. He says that because of this extraordinary sweetness, he says, I call it Madhura-rasa, which is interesting, because generally what's it called? It's called Śrīngāra-rasa, or there are other types of name for it, but it was called now, and we also have adopted this term Madhurya Lila. Yes, and the importance of when you're chanting Hare Krishna, you taste it. You taste something sweet. The other day, some devotee was coming, explaining how he'd attained bhava because when he chants Hare Krishna, he tastes sweetness. So what? What else are you supposed to taste when you're chanting Hare Krishna other than sweetness? That doesn't mean that all of a sudden you're a liberated soul. In fact, Jiva Gosvāmī says that unless one actually is able to taste sweetness, Krishna's sweetness, then he actually can't come to the stage of ecstatic devotion. He can't come to actually relish Krishna's bhav. Because Siddhasya lakshanam tatyat sādhanam. So, because the sadhana has to correspond to the perfection. So if the perfection is sweetness, then you have to be able to taste sweetness here also. When we look at the form of the deity, it's sweet. When we chant Hare Krishna, it's sweet. When we're hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, it's very sweet. We should be tasting that sweet, because raso varjam rasopyasya param drishtva. This is the param drishtva nivartate. This is what will save us from Maya. This sweetness. And the ultimate sweetness, that is there within the transcendental loving exchange between Radha and Krishna. So, by worshipping Krishna nama binibhai, Radhika charanipai. Now by serving, by chanting Hare Krishna, by serving. So here he's not saying we should directly go to Srimati Radharani's service. He says serve Krishna. So he says worship Lord Giridhārī here in Braj. How will we worship Krishna? Krishna varnam tisa Krishnam sangho pangasta parshadam. So yajna saṅkīrtana-yañja. So with this saṅkīrtana-yañja, we worship Krishna. And specifically we worship Krishna in his form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is pleased with our worship, then he will allow us to enter into Vṛndāvana. And we're also singing that Ore kore nitaychan karuna saidi samsara vasana morasu vishaya chariya habishuddha hadvimana kabe havasi vaja Śrī Rādhā. When Vishaya, our heart is completely clean, then we enter into Vṛndāvana consciousness. So, to engage in Srimati Radharani's service, do we want to do that? That obviously, if we're going somewhere, you have to want to go somewhere to get there. If one doesn't have any desire, then how will one get there? So, as we were speaking yesterday, with words choked with emotion. So it says, we worship Lord Giridhārī with words choked with emotion. So what are those words? Well, words are prayers. Words are the holy name of Krishna. Words are when you give Krishna consciousness, preach Krishna consciousness to others, and those words are full of emotion. Why they're full of emotion? Because one feels that compassion, that empathy that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has for fallen conditioned souls. So that constitutes worshipping Lord Giridhārī. Interesting that he said, Kakva Giridhāram. Why Giridhārī? Because Krishna, with his little finger, he lifted up Govardhan Hill. So there's if you've gone, this is not on the Parikramarg, it's actually on the external Parikramarg, the one that's like twice as long, 40 kilometers. So there you go to Narayan Sarovara, and there is a cave, and it was through that cave that Krishna went under. It went under Govardhan Hill. That's how he lifted it up. Didn't lift it up from the side, but he went in the cave underneath, and from underneath he lifted it up. So he lifted up a mountain. So the doubt then is, but is Krishna capable of destroying our wickedness? For him, lifting up a mountain, and the mountain was much bigger at the time, lifting up a mountain with his little finger, left hand. Left hand is the hand that you don't use. You don't use it for puja. At least we try not to. We don't use it. It's a secondary, put it that way. Of course, nothing's impure about Krishna, but it's for secondary use. We don't use it for worship. We don't use it for eating. So Krishna just indifferent. And little finger is, you rarely use your little finger for many things. Maybe if you're playing the piano, you use your little finger, but aside from that, mostly it's these other fingers that we use. But nonetheless, for Krishna, it's effortless. To free us from wickedness, ultimately, we have to cry out to Krishna. Our effort gets us so far, but if we depend Krishna for Krishna, it's nothing. Mameva ye prapadyante mayame tam tarantite. He says, if you surrender to me, then I'll save you. So this whole act of surrender, that we just fully depend on Krishna. And as we're practicing Krishna consciousness year after year, decade after decade, we realize that it's not such an easy thing, our own effort. We really, really need this mercy, divine intervention. So, with words choked with emotion, what kind of emotion? Well, it can't be feigned, it can't be artificial, it has to be real, it has to be pure. With words choked with emotion, then we should worship Lord Giridhārī. Yes, Krishna can lift it up, it's nothing. And to give us transcendental love, Krishna prema pradayate. You must be Krishna, because only Krishna can give Krishna prema. As I said yesterday, he has to bring the torchlight, Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya. He has to open our eyes are closed, so we can't see. I just had these cataract operations. Of course, it was done by laser, but in any case, it's done with a knife. So, Om Ajnana Timirandasya, the expert doctor, he cuts, and then you have vision. So your vision is there, but without the intervention of the doctor, that the ultimate doctor is Krishna, and he acts through others for the benefit of his devotee. So, yes. And if Krishna comes and he tells Srimati Radharani, now Prabhupada would sometimes when he's talking, he would say that you approach Srimati Radharani and she will introduce you to Krishna. Okay, but our main goal is not to serve Krishna. Our main goal is to serve Radha, and through her that we serve Krishna. So, but if Krishna goes to Srimati Radharani and says, this person has served me very nicely, now you should accept him, then she would, ultimately, Krishna's the boss. So, if what he says, that goes. So, same thing, to engage me in Radha's service. So it has to be that very, very strong desire. And unless that sadhana, which is especially enriched by hearing about Krishna, the desire won't be there. Not only the desire, but the greed, so much that choked with emotion. Very nice phrase. That you want it so much, choked with emotion, like you used to be as a child, wanting something. Then it was very easy to invoke emotion. How did children do that? Well, now, as adults, we're also meant to do that. And we've already heard about this before, so ultimately Das Gosvāmī emphasizes. And it comes down to chanting Hare Krishna like that. That we please engage me in your service. This is what we're also saying here. So when you chant, that's what chanting is. Mechanical, it's better than nothing, but we don't want to become machines. We want to become servants. So let's keep that in mind, and tomorrow we only have 3 verses left, but they're very significant. And then, of course, we have the 12th verse, which is the full stuti. Hare Krishna. Jai Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai. Das Gosvāmī Prabhupada ki jai. Śrī Rādhā Damodar ki jai. Jai Nitai Gaur Premanandi. Hari 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 Bol.